Ever since the mass production of cars began in the early 1900s, motor vehicles have come to dominate our planet. Starting in the 1950s, the construction of modern expressways has kept pace with humanity's growing transportation needs. Today, some of the fastest road expansion is happening in India. In addition to new roads, old 2-lane highways are being upgraded to 4- or 6-lane expressways at a rapid pace. Wherever such highways cut through forest areas, the consequences to wildlife are horrendous. In Hindu culture, wild animals enjoyed divine status as the vehicles of deities. But today, they are being run over in record numbers by man-made vehicles. To avoid such tragedies, many countries have carefully designed and built underpasses and overpasses at key animal crossing points. With the lives of thousands of creatures at stake every year, it's time for India to make its roads safe for wildlife. Few countries in the world can match India's natural diversity and richness. Our nation is home to the largest population of wild tigers, the only population of lions outside Africa, and the largest number of Asian elephants. But with vast areas of forests lost to agriculture and urbanization, most of India's large mammals have a safe haven only in national parks and sanctuaries. Yet even these protected areas, as well as the critical corridors that connect them, are under pressure from many development projects, particularly linear intrusions. Any infrastructure that bisects a wildlife habitat is a linear intrusion. These include oil or water pipelines running above ground for kilometers, high-voltage power transmission lines, and railway lines that cut through forests. Trains speeding through forests have a deadly impact, with entire herds of elephants being mowed down in certain regions. Power lines can be fatal too, and again, elephants are frequently the victims of electrocution. Even pipelines affect wildlife by creating an insurmountable barrier for most animals. Beyond such visible impacts, all linear intrusions have one immense consequence. They divide a natural habitat and thus weaken its ecological integrity. This forest has been bisected in one direction by a high-tension power line and in another direction by a road, thus fragmenting a previously intact ecosystem into 4 pieces. The breaking up of large blocks of natural habitat into smaller pieces as a result of human activities is considered one of the most serious threats to wildlife. Of the various types of linear infrastructure, a road is the worst enemy of a forest because it exposes its previously untouched interior to a host of problems, including logging, poaching, mining, invasive weeds, and man-made forest fires. To top it all, with vehicles plying day and night, a road also turns the peaceful heart of a forest into a death trap for wildlife. Animals don't understand the deadly consequences of roads and cannot judge the speed at which modern vehicles travel. In fact, they often unwittingly use the comfortable surface for resting or moving around. A poorly maintained or potholed road may force vehicles to go slow, giving animals some chance to get out of the way. But when it's resurfaced, even a narrow road turns deadly. Imagine an animal trying to cross this busy highway through a forest. Just the noise from the traffic can be frightening. And then there's the matter of judging when it is safe to cross. Now, oops, that would have been fatal. After waiting a long time, an animal may dash across in desperation. But even a quick-footed leopard is no match for a speeding vehicle. Many die on the spot, but many more are crippled and die a lingering, agonizing death. It's not only ground-dwelling animals that are affected. Because of the gap created by a road, canopy-dwelling animals like the highly endangered lion-tailed macaque, which travel across the forest by leaping from tree to tree, are forced to come down to the ground and risk death each time they try to cross to the other side. Today, roads and highways running through India's national parks and sanctuaries expose animals to a variety of ills, including pollution, stress, injury, and death. India has allocated vast resources for conserving its national animal, the tiger. But many are killed on highways that run through or adjoining the same forests that were set aside to save them. When a tigress was run over in a tiger reserve in South India, the 3 cubs in her womb died with her. With only about 4,000 wild tigers left in the world, we can scarcely afford such losses. In 2016, the elephant was deservingly declared India's national heritage animal. Elephants need vast home ranges and follow the same traditional routes in search of food, water, and shelter, generation after generation. Today, they have to cope with busy highways that cut across their ancient migratory pathways. This young bull elephant just about manages to cross the dividing median. But what about a small calf like this? On the modern highways that we have created, the plight of baby elephants is truly heart-rending. Compassion, culture, ethics, and ecology all demand that we factor in the needs of wildlife while designing highways. Just erecting signboards achieves nothing. Animals often try to sneak across roads at night, but are blinded and disoriented by headlights. Drivers, in turn, are often unable to see an animal darting across in the dark. 6 people were seriously injured in this accident involving a night bus and a bull gaur on a road adjoining the Nagarhole Tiger Reserve in Karnataka. In West Bengal, a lorry collided with an even larger animal. The driver survived, but the elephant didn't stand a chance. A young bull elephant like this could have lived for another 35 years and fathered many calves. His premature death is a big loss for India's elephant population. From the largest creatures to the smallest, from the fastest to the slowest, no animal is safe today. with vehicle-animal collisions at epidemic proportions, we can no longer dismiss these losses as the price of progress, especially when many solutions are available to address the problem. Typically, when planning a highway, the highest priority is given to the shortest route between 2 points, even if that is likely to cause irreparable devastation. However, if the long-term ecological ill effects are factored in, building roads through important wildlife habitats is clearly not in our national interest, as they fragment and permanently damage these priceless natural assets. A more sustainable and permanent solution would be to create a bypass around a wildlife area. This is neither impractical nor utopian, given that we routinely build bypass roads around cities and towns. Even when it comes to existing old roads through crucial wildlife habitats, it is often possible to create a bypass outside the forest and then decommission the existing road. Like this section of the Mysore-Manantawadi road through the Nagarhole Tiger Reserve in Karnataka, which is rapidly returning to nature. The yellow marking shows the original stretch of road through the Tiger Reserve on which many animals had died. Instead of resurfacing this road and continuing its use, a 10-kilometer bypass, which is shown in red, was constructed. This was a win-win solution, as it has not only provided permanent relief to wildlife, but also resulted in better connectivity for the people of several villages outside the forest. Where such a bypass is just not feasible, scientifically designed mitigation measures must be provided for animals to cross the road safely. This animal overpass in Canada, one of many, provides safety for both drivers and large animals. This animal underpass in Kenya was specially created to provide safe passage to migrating elephants. In India, we are already creating similar structures, but for other purposes. On the Hyderabad Outer Ring Road Expressway, for instance, several underpasses have been provided for local vehicles to cross over to the other side. In addition, all ground-level stretches of this 158-kilometer high-speed expressway have been fenced off to prevent cattle and people from crossing it and causing accidents. Similarly, highways and roads running through a wildlife habitat must be fenced off and animals funneled towards frequently spaced and properly designed overpasses or underpasses. In some cases, it may make sense to elevate an entire section. Essentially, where there's a will, there are many ways to minimize the negative impacts of roads and highways on wildlife. What is required is a mindful approach to development that factors nature into the planning process. Sadly, most highways running through India's wildlife reserves have no mitigation measures at all. In other cases, attempts at mitigation have been half-hearted or improperly executed. In Uttarakhand, flyovers that could save the lives of thousands of animals on important wildlife corridors were started years ago, but remain unfinished. On the Maharashtra stretch of National Highway 7 that runs through the critically important Kanha-Pench Tiger Corridor, a few flyovers are being built in order to allow animals to cross underneath. But even these mitigation measures came about only in response to court orders. As one of the fastest growing economies in the world and the custodian of an extremely rich wildlife inheritance, India must willingly and proactively integrate development with conservation and mitigation. If we don't, our fragile wildlife habitats will not survive the hundreds of new linear intrusions that are poised to rip them apart. Today, Road ecology is a well-established science, and there's a great deal of expertise available on the best ways to reconcile road development with conservation. In fact, comprehensive guidelines prepared by Indian ecologists, including those from the Wildlife Institute of India, have clearly laid out the solutions. The most effective solution to save a wildlife habitat and all its animals is to avoid putting a road through it, because even the best mitigation measures cannot avert fragmentation or save all types of animals. However, where avoidance is simply not possible, we can craft smart solutions that will allow animals to move freely across landscapes, even as we and our goods travel in our high-speed vehicles. It's time to turn India's killer roads into humane highways.